938 Live. This is Talkback.
Now, what can charities and other outreach organizations do to encourage more people to volunteer? And what should such groups do to provide a meaningful experience for a person who steps forward to volunteer? Now, to encourage a culture of volunteerism, Singapore needs to build up its volunteer management capabilities. Minister for Culture, Community and Youth, Lawrence Wong, said despite its importance, volunteer management capabilities remain quite uneven across the non-profit sector. Now, how important do you think this is? Or should people just be willing to give up some time regardless of what they get out of the volunteer experience? Tell us what you expect of an organization at which you volunteer your time and talent. You can start calling us on 669-11938 and share with us your volunteering experience. Now, over the weekend, NParks reported that it has seen a 50% increase in active volunteers from last year, the highest rise in its volunteerism rate since the volunteer programs began in the 1990s. Now, to date, 1,500 volunteers actively devote their time and energy to spreading their love for nature. Now, that is 500 volunteers more than the figure that was recorded in 2013. So that's a massive jump. Now, to share more about their volunteer program, we have on the line with us Mr. Wong Tuan Wah. He is Director of Conservation at NParks. Mr. Wong, thanks for joining us. Now, what is the secret of NParks' success in this particular area?
Okay, we invest in our volunteers actually by training them, such as in the process of personal growth and enrichment for the volunteers themselves. And for example, before they start leading guided walks or doing biodiversity surveys, we share with them the necessary knowledge and impart skills. So in this sense, they find that it's very meaningful to volunteer with us. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we have seen a 50% increase in our volunteers since last year.
Okay. Now you did talk about training.
Yes.
So what sort of training is given to your volunteers, and how do you continue to keep your volunteers engaged and interested?
Okay. Over the years, we do all sorts of training, such as the education and outreach type of training, where we share knowledge with them through in ways of how they can lead guided walks, and at the same time conducting exhibitions and programs. We also have we train them on gardening skills as well. So those who have green fingers can be intimately involved in maintaining of the area of a garden, such as sowing seeds, doing pruning work, weeding or fertilizing. And at the same time, one of the very interesting programs that is very successful is on the conservation programs, where we encourage our volunteers to participate in the improvement of habitat work through various restoration programs, such as planting, weeding, coastal cleanup, and biodiversity surveys.
It really puts the meaning going down to the ground. Really,
Yes, that's right.
really realistic. So, but
Yes.
I mean, this must be a really conscious effort of of NParks to create this meaningful volunteer structure.
Oh yes, definitely. In order for us, over the years, we find in order for us to be successful, we also need to identify where our volunteers' passion and skills are,
Right.
and try to fit that with their activities they are interested in. And in doing so, we find that the volunteers themselves keep coming back, and not only they come back, they also introduce new volunteers to join us.
Okay, could I just ask you if you have any advice to other organizations who have volunteers as well?
Okay, I think very often that we try to, I think one of the advice we try to tailor our needs with their volunteer skills and passion. And then in that sense, the volunteers will keep coming back and they would like to continue to contribute towards the organization.
Okay, tailoring to them. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong Tuan Wah, he is Director of Conservation at NParks. And so NParks has managed, of course, to increase the number of their volunteers by 500 compared to that recorded in 2013. So tell us, how important do you think this is? Should people be willing to give up some time regardless of what they get out of the volunteer experience? Or, should the organization provide you a meaningful experience? Joining us also this morning is Mr. Muhammad Farhan Muhammad Firdaus. He is co-founder and president of Volunteerism Singapore. Farhan, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, morning.
You've been in the volunteering for quite a while now.
That's right.
Now, just share with us how can organizations provide a meaningful experience for a person who steps forward to volunteer? We heard from what Mr. Wong said, but in your experience, what would you be able to share with us?
I think in my experience, I can share more about what I think youths in particular, from the age of 15 to 35, they're looking for in terms of meaningfulness.
15 to 35, that's still
That's
young.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that it is still young. So I think there are three aspects. One is I think volunteers would want the organizations that have called them to come to volunteer to provide a program whereby there is really a need for them to volunteer. And so basically it's like you have already sorted out what it is that you need them to do, right? And then when they come that they are actually doing something meaningful. It could be either direct service whereby they're helping the beneficiaries, or it could be the environment for the matter, or indirect whereby they're fundraising or doing other stuff, advocacy work. So the most important thing is they must see that there is a need for them to be there. I would say that secondly, like what Mr. Wong was saying,
yes.
If they are able to contribute their skills, that would be better, especially if they are working adults.
Right.
Now, for the students, I think for them, I think moving forward, if they feel that if they can kind of apply what they are learning in school to service, I think that would be good as well. And
that's a great start, isn't it?
That's right. And also, if there's anything for them to learn from the service experience, that is something that they're also looking for. Now, the third point is basically communication. Volunteers would like to know. So basically, a volunteer briefing is imperative. So when you start the volunteering experience, they need to know why they're there, who they are helping, and what are they doing exactly. So I think, time and again, I think this has proven to be quite correct.
And I think that's the basis or the basics, the very basics when you are managing volunteers, right?
That's right.
Okay. 669-11938. If you have any thoughts on your experience about volunteering, give us a call and we'd like to hear from you. Now, Farhan, what sort of volunteering management capability and development systems do you think should be undertaken by companies?
Well, this is a very new area. You were saying about the management capabilities by companies, especially those who are embarking on CSR projects.
Right.
Well, I would say that if the company is really serious in this, they can they can consider if they want a third party to be involved in connecting them with the community organizations, or they could have a staff, who is basically well in tune with the ground, the needs of. So basically, I think if it's a very large organization and they're planning on doing a lot of service, I would say that it's good to have someone within. Right. But this person needs to have very sound knowledge of what the community needs and what the organization intends to do. So integration of these two.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, you would think that all of this is common sense, right? Okay. 669-1193. We have Donald on the line. Hi, Donald. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Andre, and everyone out there.
What are your thoughts, Donald?
My thoughts. Okay, volunteerism actually comes within yourself, number one. Number two, if you do not have it, the tools are there. There are so many organizations willing to provide you with the tools. Number three, if you take the first step to find out, that's already volunteerism. Why? Because you take the time. Okay, and I always believe that there are so many organizations out there, they do not know how to tap to these young youth.
Right.
And if they do, how to teach the youth can provide so much. And what we are talking about, volunteerism, not now until 35. When you are already in it, you will continue. Like, for example, myself, I started at the age of 14, and up to now, 54, I still do volunteerism.
What are you volunteering?
Like, for example, my sons have a lot of activities. I will drive them. That is volunteerism. Volunteerism doesn't mean he has to be in a organization.
Absolutely.
You see, when you take your children there with the boxes and you are already contributing. Your child don't have to take a taxi or bus or MRT. So, you see, volunteerism is a very large word. It has to come from many, many angles. It doesn't mean that it has to be there. But that is the first step. Second step, how do you teach this young youth? The youth, when you have you have some organization for them, you must continue the blood flow. Don't stop. And then you need to have one or two of your volunteers to contact them and say, hey, we are having activity. Would you like to continue with us? Those are the things that he has to continue.
Okay.
Doesn't mean, sorry, if I go on, it will never end.
Okay, but thank you so much for calling and sharing that. And I like what Donald said, Farhan. I mean, his kids, his boys are helping out, but he helps them. He drives them down, and it's a ripple effect, isn't it?
That's right. It's actually a trend that we're seeing growing nowadays, whereby youths are volunteering, and then we see their parents also pitching in. So I would say that I concur with Donald, whereby parents don't necessarily have to do or engage in service that is very separate from their kids, but they can join their kids. So it's either they are with their kids or they help their kids to volunteer, like sending them to the VWO, or if they are doing a food donation drive or whatever, help to pack the boxes or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, why not? And another key thing I think that Donald mentioned was keep the blood flowing. I mean, it's the enthusiasm, right? I think that's what he means. Keep the enthusiasm flowing. But the thing is, many youth today also will say we don't have time. We are busy with schoolwork half the time. Those who are young adults will be saying, okay, this is the time I need to build my career.
Definitely.
You've heard all of this.
All this, yes. So, too familiar, yeah.
So how do you handle all of that? And how can organizations actually even actually harness on these particular things that the youth are going through?
To be very honest, I'm a proponent of youth and youth volunteerism. So I really don't, blame our youths, because I'm a youth myself and I know the struggles, right? So like I'm running Volunteerius after work and during Saturday, Sundays and public holidays.
Right.
So for example, I would say that what is important is to basically get them, like what Donald was saying, get it flowing and get them to continue. But how do we do that exactly? So see, the thing is, if you can't get people to start volunteering because of they have a busy schedule or whatever, so you work around it. So what Volunteerism Singapore is doing is basically we are providing ad hoc volunteering opportunities, and we have it very frequently every month. And what we do is we also look for their skill set. So we try to match them. We try our best to match them to respective VWOs and expose them to various social causes. So that's one. But I think moving forward, what we can do as well as a society is, we brought up the issue. You were asking me about the management capability,
That's
right?
correct.
So I think, I'm also seeing, although this growth is slow, but I have faith that it will continue. I'm seeing more companies, not just the MNCs, but even the SMEs, doing corporate social responsibility. So I was just in Sembawang actually on Saturday. So there was a grassroots event, and there were, because it's quite common for companies to sponsor, but this was the first time that I saw a company, an SME, providing more than about 20 volunteers to go down and serve the community. So I was like, wow, this is a milestone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, okay, it all depends also on the organization itself and the people leading that organization.
That's right. If you see a meaning in it, then most likely it will continue.
And it's the leaders who have to walk the talk.
That's right.
Okay. So what do you think is the biggest challenge in creating a volunteerism culture in Singapore?
I would say first and foremost, there is no pervasive or common culture in volunteering. So it's only now that it's growing, and the fact that it's growing, it's only, I would say, isolated to a particular population. So for example, it is primarily among the youths. So according to the National Youth Survey that was released last week, if I'm not wrong, basically it said that 2 out of 3 youths are volunteering.
Yeah.
So I would say that this is very, very good, encouraging news. But so the issue is, yes, they are volunteering. So number one is, how do we get them to continue volunteering?
Yes.
Once they start work, which is what we discussed just now.
Absolutely.
Right. If not, then we'll see there's a term coined called the bathtub volunteerism syndrome, whereby after they start work, they would dip in their volunteering rates, and then when they retire, which is now at 67, if I'm not wrong.
Right. Yeah. So they start popping up again.
That's right. But you see, we have to wait for a good 30, 40 years.
Yeah. So that's too long to wait.
That's too long to wait. So and I think in every nation you need to have active citizens. So I think the best is we try to do our best as much as we can. I think that's the basic thing that we can do.
Okay, all right. 669-11938. Tell us how you think we can create a culture of volunteerism in Singapore. And would you say that we have a culture of volunteerism in Singapore already? We'd like to hear from you on 669-11938. Do we have a culture of volunteerism here in Singapore? And well, if you think we do, give us a call, 669-11938. Tell us what your experience has been. And if you are volunteering, do you think that the organization should try and, let's say, tailor its programs to you and your interests? 669-11938. Joining us this morning is Muhammad Farhan Muhammad Firdaus. He is co-founder and president of Volunteerism Singapore. Okay, Farhan, now, Minister Lawrence Wong has said that we need to strengthen our culture of mutual support and responsibility to one another. What exactly do you think he means by that?
Well, if I can understand what he's trying to say correctly, I think in simple words, he wants to bring back, I would say the kampong gotong royong spirit. Right, like you helping me and me helping you.
That's right.
Now, this is a relatively simple concept which seems to be quite complex in Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because we have no more kampongs down here doesn't mean the gotong royong spirit can die also. Right?
Yes, that's right.
Hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that this gotong royong spirit, essentially it would be nice to see it, among neighbors, and although I have seen it in like volunteer groups and all that, it's very strong in youth centers, in elder care centers, but I just don't see it at the HDBs or dwellings.
Yeah, correct.
So I would say that I think in the larger scheme of things, what Minister Lawrence Wong is trying to say is that I think government definitely moving forward will continue to provide essential social services or whatsoever.
Sure.
But one of the challenges which I've seen on the ground is there's a lack of connectors. So, for example, there could be some services or help if you are in trouble that the government provides, but I think, say, for example, mutual support. If I am a neighbor or if I am friends with you, and I think at the basic level, what I could do is I could just say, this is, I've been volunteering here, I'm helping here, and there are services that are available to help you.
Right.
So I think that's at the most basic level. The next level would be, so for example, if there are emergencies, right? Who better to respond to such emergencies, especially if it's at the local level at a particular town, than the NGOs or the whatever informal groups per se.
Sure. Civic society groups.
That's right.
Civil society groups.
Government would take some time to respond, especially if it's at a local level. So I think worldwide, one good example was the Fukushima nuclear disaster.
Yes.
Yeah, the first to respond was the civic society groups, but of course the government came up, a while later.
Yes.
But civic society groups came in to assist first, and then the expert help and came later. But their help actually was imperative, was very important in saving lives.
Right.
So I would say, I think moving forward, this is what Minister is trying to say.
You see, the thing is, do some people see this sort of thing as service, or is it responsibility?
Okay, I really don't know where to start. Just to give you an example, a really short story. I traveled all the way to KL a few weeks ago to attend a service learning workshop. So one of the speakers, Catherine Berger, she's a big name in service learning. So she was asking us a question, and I was the only Asian and non-educator there. So she was asking, okay, so if I were to pick up a tissue or if I were to help someone, in need, right? Is this service or is this my responsibility? And naturally, coming from Singapore, in a very urban society, I use the word urban society because it's not just a Singapore problem. It is, if you go to New York,
urban,
Tokyo, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
So I was one of the few people who put up my hand and I said, I think this is service. And then the other Americans were all just looking at me, giving the funny stare, And then most of them, of course, they felt that it was a sense of responsibility. And then they explained that, that this is a sense of, this is your civic duty. And I said, this was an interesting concept because because where I come from, perhaps I would say that I have faith that we will move towards there.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, it sounds very much like service because it's not my Tai Chi. Why am I doing it? The fact that I'm doing it, it's.
So this is a mindset change.
That's right.
It's a mindset change.
We
I mean,
need a mindset change.
it's the same thing. Like, a lot of callers also say that they've been to Japan, and you will see the Japanese put litter into their own pockets or into their own bags. It can be a Gucci bag, a YSL bag, a Burberry bag, whatever it is. They will put their litter into their bag and they will carry it to a destination where there is a dustbin, and then they will, let go of the litter within the bin. So this is responsibility, isn't it?
That's right.
And it's civic duty. Simple, because you're thinking about the environment, you're thinking about the people who are living in that environment. It's not service.
That's right. In Singapore, very much people think that this is not my responsibility. This is something that the government should do. This is something that the schools should do. This is something that everyone else but myself.
Yeah, everybody has to do.
Which is very saddening.
I sit in the corner and keep quiet. So we know that there is this pull and push.
That's right.
Factor. So how do we get more people to see it more as a sense of responsibility rather than as a sense of service?
Andre, to be very, very fair to fellow Singaporeans, I would say that this is from my experience. Singaporeans are very receptive to doing things like this, like helping others and all.
Right? Yeah, sure.
And basically, a change of behavior, if they think it's something positive, they would be more than happy to basically adopt. And I would say it's a matter of as commonsensical this may sound, but it's a matter of educating them. And I've seen so many youths in the past years, age of 13, 14 and all that, they have adopted good behavior, they have good attitude, they want to continue serving after they've embarked on one good service activity because they felt that, I've learned a lot, I think this is good behavior because they were taught that this is what you should do, and they're continuing doing it. So I would say that, mindset change is needed, and what we need to do is we need to educate our fellow Singaporeans that we all have a sense of duty to one another, not just to ourselves, to each other, but also to our environment.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Muhammad Firdaus, he is co-founder and president of Volunteerism Singapore. And indeed, it depends on all of us not to take things and not to see things as, service, but there has to be a sense of responsibility, personal responsibility. Thank you very much for those of you who tried to call in as well, and for your calls, Donald. You can talk to us still on our Facebook page, official 938 Live.